The warmth of coffee in your hands can be the comfort you need to open up, to let go of the things that have been silently weighing you down, and to begin healing through conversation. Sitting down with a cup of coffee isn't just about the drink, it's about the moment of connection where we let our guard down and let our emotions flow. In the silence between sips, the heart speaks its truth. What we've been feeling, what we've been hiding, and what we finally need to say to be free. The simplicity of a coffee break can hold so much depth. It's the chance to slow down, reflect, and say the things that are finally ready to be heard. There's a quiet magic in the spaces between words, especially when you're sharing coffee with someone who listens, someone who gives you the courage to say what's been tucked away. The act of talking over coffee creates a space for honesty, a moment when you're allowed to be vulnerable, to voice your feelings and let go of the fears that have kept you silent. As we sip our coffee, we find a moment of stillness, a pause that allows us to finally share what's been on our minds without fear or hesitation. When you're ready to speak the truth, sometimes all you need is the comforting warmth of a coffee cup and the quiet understanding of someone who's willing to listen. Coffee doesn't just warm your hands, it warms your soul, especially when you use it as an excuse to speak your truth, to share the things that have been waiting to be said. In the quiet moments, with a cup of coffee in hand, we find the courage to speak what's been buried deep inside, to open up and be seen for who we really are. A cup of coffee is a simple invitation to be real, to speak your heart, and to let go of the things that have been crowding your mind for too long. When life feels overwhelming, it's in the small moments, like sharing a cup of coffee, that we find the space to breathe, to reflect, and to speak our truth. There's something powerful about sitting down with a cup of coffee and allowing yourself to finally say what's been echoing in your mind, what's been weighing on your heart. Over coffee, we get the chance to speak openly, to voice the things we often keep hidden, and to find comfort in the understanding of someone else. The most honest moments often happen over coffee, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to share the emotions and thoughts we've been holding onto in silence. Sometimes all you need is a cup of coffee and a safe space to speak your truth, to share what's been hurting, what's been healing, and what's still uncertain in your heart. When you're ready to open up, coffee becomes more than just a drink. It becomes a bridge, connecting you to the words you've been waiting to say. Over coffee, we find the courage to express what's been unspoken, to unravel the emotions that have been quietly building, and to seek solace in the words we finally let go of. The steam rising from a cup of coffee feels like a reminder that even in the most difficult conversations, there's warmth, there's comfort, and there's space to be real. There's something soothing about sipping coffee in the midst of a heartfelt conversation, knowing that the words being spoken are the ones you've been needing to hear. A good coffee and a thoughtful conversation can heal the heart in ways that nothing else can. It's in these moments that we let go of what's been building inside. When the world feels too heavy, sometimes a cup of coffee and an open conversation are the lightest thing you can do to free your soul from the weight it carries. Over coffee, we realize that we don't have to have all the answers. Sometimes, just speaking our truth is enough to begin the journey toward understanding and peace. There's a freedom in sharing your thoughts over coffee, in letting go of the things you've been afraid to say, and finding a moment of connection in doing so. A cup of coffee isn't just about the taste, it's about the comfort, the warmth, and the space it provides to speak freely, to say the things we've been holding inside. The most meaningful conversations often happen in the quiet moments between sips, where we can finally voice the emotions that have been lingering beneath the surface. Coffee, in its simplest form, is a reason to pause, to listen, and to speak what's been waiting to be said, unburdening the heart and finding solace in shared understanding. In the stillness of a coffee break, we find the courage to share what's been hidden for too long, to give voice to the emotions we often keep locked away. It's not about the coffee, it's about the connection it creates, the safe space to speak freely, to share, to unburden, and to finally say what's been on our hearts. Sometimes, the best conversations start with a cup of coffee, when you're ready to let your heart speak the truth that's been lingering in silence for far too long. A coffee shared between two souls isn't just about the warmth in the cup, but the connection in the silence and the courage to say what's been waiting to be heard. There are moments when the noise of the world fades away, and all you have left is the soft clink of a coffee cup, a warm embrace, and the vulnerability to open up about what you've been carrying in your heart. I've found that sometimes the most powerful conversations don't happen in grand moments, but in the quiet shared over a cup of coffee, where honesty flows and burdens feel lighter. Coffee is just the beginning. It's the space between words and the pauses that let us process what's been on our hearts for far too long. There's something magical about a conversation over coffee when we let go of the masks and speak the unspoken truths that have been quietly weighing on our hearts. A cup of coffee has the power to stir not just the senses but the soul. And when shared with someone who truly listens, it becomes a safe space to express the feelings that need to be set free. As the steam rises from a hot cup of coffee, so too do the words that have been waiting patiently, waiting for the right moment to break free and find their way to someone who understands. Sometimes the simple act of sharing a cup of coffee can be the start of something profound, an invitation to speak freely, to listen deeply, and to find healing in the honesty we offer each other. Over coffee, the walls we've built around our feelings start to crumble, and we begin to say what's been hiding behind closed doors, just waiting for the right time to be set free. There's something freeing about sitting down with a warm cup of coffee and finally saying the things that have been silently echoing in your mind. It's the moment when vulnerability meets understanding. A cup of coffee, a quiet space, and the courage to speak your truth. That's when healing begins, when you can finally release what's been inside for too long. It's amazing how a simple drink can become the backdrop for some of life's most honest conversations, where we finally let go of the things we've been holding on to, if only for a moment. Over coffee, there's no judgment, only a chance to speak freely, to let the words that have been locked away in our minds flow into the world, ready to find a soft landing in someone else's heart. The beauty of a coffee conversation lies in its simplicity, a chance to be heard, to be understood, and to release the heaviness that's been quietly building up inside. The warmth of the coffee cup mirrors the warmth we feel when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to open up about the thoughts and feelings we often keep hidden. Sometimes the truth is simple. It's just a matter of finding the courage to say it. And over a cup of coffee, it often becomes easier to speak the words that have been quietly echoing in our minds. A coffee break isn't just about the caffeine. It's about the pause we take to reflect, to express, and to give voice to the things that need to be said before they fade into silence. The beauty of coffee conversations is that they don't rush. They allow for reflection, for the slow unfolding of thoughts that have been waiting for the right time to be shared. There's something powerful about speaking your truth over coffee. It's as if the warmth of the cup matches the warmth that begins to grow inside when we allow ourselves to be open. In the quiet moments, when you take a sip of your coffee and allow your mind to wander, that's when the truths you've been avoiding begin to surface. Sometimes the best therapy is a cup of coffee and a good listener, someone who will allow you the space to voice everything you've been holding inside. When we sit down for coffee, we're not just sharing a drink, we're sharing the little pieces of ourselves that we often keep hidden from the world, and in that, we find connection. Coffee is the quiet catalyst for conversations that matter, the kind that linger in the heart long after the cup is empty, leaving you with the courage to speak your truth. A simple conversation over coffee can be the moment when everything shifts, the moment when you finally speak the words that have been heavy on your heart. We often wait for the perfect moment to speak our truth, but sometimes the right moment is simply over a cup of coffee, when the world slows down long enough to listen. Coffee is the perfect companion to our most honest thoughts, a quiet space where we can say the things that we've been afraid to speak aloud and find a little peace in doing so.